Megalopolis is good, actually. I'm sitting here days after the fact of watching that nutso-artso extravaganza, and a lot of people want to deem it like a vanity project from a past-it senile filmmaker, which is slightly true, but you gotta respect something so single-minded in its artistic vision. I mean, no corporate entities involved, so come on. My sons will change the time. My sons will change the future. How great goes from my multi-cells themselves. My sons will bring cells. My neurons will turn into goggles. I will make gods from nonsense. It's disrespectful to Francis Ford Coppola not to really appreciate him actually doing his best to do some kind of artistic vision that excludes corporate structure. There's no influence from any kind of movie studio because it's fully financed by him, so like, it's gonna be something different. Two things above all I think you have to credit this film with are firstly the pretty genuine and endearing way Francis Coppola pays homage to his late wife Eleanor. Some of the sort of dream, hallucinatory, otherworldly, undying scenes and shots that we get from, spoilers from here, from Caesar's also deceased wife, paint this picture of, I think, Francis's wife as this, like I said, like undying, forever in my mind and always somewhat thinking of you, you know, pretty touching stuff that I see just, you know, not really getting much attention. And something I have found myself doing with this film is really putting my eyes through Francis Ford Coppola's lenses. It's a great depiction of how he sees America in some senses, and this is one of America's greatest ever storytellers, so I find it just fascinating in so many aspects. Let's keep it going. Secondly, the film is really funny. I don't think people really appreciate how comical and goofy it is at times. Like, the whole virgin pop star storyline is just exquisite. It's just such a great social commentary of like Jonas Brother purity ring shit, or the incessant need to believe in some pledge of allegiance type bullshit that no one actually fucking follows, you know? That sounds like America to me. Pretty great. I find this character particularly great at sort of depicting the way politicians and powerful people will maybe attach themselves to religious ideas and values in order to sort of make themselves look like the regular people they kind of, you know, look down on and abuse/exploit. You know, this faux relatability through shared religion and family value type things, you know. And then the next stage of that character is like a scene transition into this sexed up, like, pop star girl phenomena. Have you seen that before? That never happens in real life. Chef's kiss, just great. This thing is funny and you don't realize it. Wake up, sheeple. This singer is purposefully supposed to sort of seem like not really who she is. We are pretty on the nose told to really view her as see-through, like she literally wears invisible clothes and says she's see-through. This is a veneer of a persona that we are looking at. Does that make sense? Did you get that, or did you just not really think about anything in this film, man? There's layers. Some are really shit, some are really good. We get a John Voight boner murder scene. I mean, this guy plays an old fool, which is basically him in real life, and it just works so phenomenally well. I'll get to him and Shia LaBeouf in a bit, but it's really low-key funny. I found myself laughing quite a lot at every time it was trying to be funny. So low-key funny and also very touching. Something immediately I find is overlooked from everyone watching this movie, unless you just got a giant brain like me. Megalopolis is unapologetically this giant, bizarre melodrama comedy epic that I don't think people are willing to give it the attention it needs to be understood on some level. The lazy thing to do is just dismiss it, call it a train wreck of a pretentious vanity project. I would rather all my films be fully funded by their creators and have full creative reign for whatever the hell they want to make than formulaic crap from big studios that want to give you Batman 6 The Pirate Wizard Returns. I would go see Batman 6 The Pirate Wizard Returns, but it's gonna be shit. You're gonna know what happens. It's gonna go from A to B, left to right. You'll be slightly satisfied and be, hey, yeah, that was great. I had a few smiles. I had a few laughs, and now that was a good cheeseburger. Obviously, modern audiences aren't really getting involved with this film because, like what I just said, it's not your cheeseburger. It's like going to McDonald's, finding yourself expecting a cheeseburger from the menu, from your takeaway as you grab it into the car and open the bag when you get home. And there's a sea urchin delicacy there. It's like, fuck is this? Maybe the sea urchin has parts of it that your taste buds are just going to find something just so mind-blowingly new in, or maybe it will be gross. Either way, I'm not going anywhere near that. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not touching the sea urchin delicacy. It's unknown to me, man. So whatever. Go back to the Marvel Club and go watch Batman 6, alright? Just go. Go. Let's go now. Go sit now. Go. Leave. Just go. Just go. Stop time! Now it's just real heads. The real film lovers. I mean, this guy made Apocalypse Now and The Godfathers. It deserves some kind of introspection at the very least. This is one of the best filmmakers ever. See beyond the idea of calling it pretentious. Maybe just challenge yourself to find some value in it that is impossible not to have because there is no corporate influence, right? This is very important. It means there is no overarching need for it to make profit. It's pure art. So there has to be value in it, man. At least appreciate Wow Platinum. Wow Platinum. Yeah, this movie is really pretentious. We've got a character called Wow Platinum. It's not perfect. There are some seriously awfully looking cheap shots. Specifically, I've found around more of the co-opted worker, like revolution kind of regular people scenes. To me, they looked like they really needed a lot more extras to sell the scale of what was happening in the background of these elites, which is a stylistic and narrative choice made by Coppola in this film. It's respectfully not attaching itself to like a workers' revolution. It knows that it's depicting things from an elitist in view, which I respected a lot. It's like clearly an attempt at Francis to say to the audience, like, yes, your problems are clearly gonna be worse than whatever the hell's going on with these people, but this is where I am after like an insanely profitable career in art. I'm at this table of debauchery and degenerate elite behavior with some really smart people mixed in, but mainly just an insane asylum around me. This is what I'm seeing, which is important. You've got to see this film from how Coppola sees America, and does a pretty good job of asking questions at the same time and not giving answers that make something like this pretentious. You know, by the end of the film, there is this basically ambiguous ending that maybe things are gonna become more of a utopian vision, but it's not guaranteed, and maybe it is going to just be a failure. You know, there is no right way forward basically shown in this film, which is what makes things pretentious. Having an artist or creator say this is the way forward, that is the worst way someone can make such a weirdly extravagant film. It's not going to nail down the correct material way forward for a better future. It's just very difficult to do. It's better to ask questions than have answers. That is good filmmaking. Did Apocalypse Now have answers, or did it just ask questions about the insanity of the Vietnam War, you know? Makes you think about Wow Platinum. There is this bizarre amalgamation of political themes, and I think it's important to know that this film is supposed to, by Francis Ford Coppola's words, bring people together from different political angles, and even if that is somewhat naive, it's probably important in a long-term vision of how everyone sees the world. Like bringing Jon Voight and Shia LaBeouf, two extremely different minds politically. I think I don't really care too much about the possible left angle maybe Shia has and the likely right angle Jon Voight has, but I think these two are two of the better performances. Well, there's a lot of good performances, I think, because everyone is so over the top on purpose. Again, a lot of on purpose done stuff in this film that people take as self-indulgent when it's just, again, so on the nose. Both LaBeouf and Jon Voight's characters are intimately pretty good with their chemistry, and if Coppola's desire was to bring those two personally together, it kind of works really well. the messy political themes, I think, do take a back seat. There's no center stage for an actual political ideology, so a lot can be self-interpreted. It's the back seat. It's the thing that isn't exactly desperate to have people agree upon, you know? Shia LaBeouf's character specifically, I mean, how can anyone watch this film and think it's supposed to be anything but melodramatic and Shakespearean in nature? It's a well-acted performance that I think people watch and think is stupid or goofy or, again, self-indulgent, even though it's totally in frame with the film's, again, operatic and Shakespearean undertones and overtones, if that's a description of things at times. He's like a character straight up ripped from Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. I mean, like, the Romeo and Juliet play is basically that film, but from a modern sense, he's just ripped from that universe into this other modern universe, you know? It's very similar. And people don't shit on that film for being wacky or whatever, because it's literally just a rendition of Shakespeare. And again, on the Shakespearean elements where people have sort of thought of saying to be or not to be, or some of the Aurelius philosophy thrown out in pieces is, you know, because it's popular and common Shakespeare / philosophy, it's, again, pretentious or what? I don't know. There's a timeless sense of Shakespeare and Marcus Aurelius, even if you think they're super common phrases that he used or popular philosophers. There is a sense of timelessness. I mean, literally, our main character is trying to stop time all across this movie. Why wouldn't there be elements of Shakespeare? Because the whole theme basically is a timeless thing. Like, we've got New Rome in New York. It's a timeless piece of drama that is weaving the history, pulling it into the modern age. It's supposed to have stuff like that. There's supposed to be sort of old English, bizarre, Shakespearean sounding language, and also regular speaking people at times. It's all supposed to be this bizarre amalgamation of things. This is the point. But no, it's a mess. We're on a whole another level here. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand this film. The Roman elite aesthetics are a fantastic way of depicting American elitist society, and running back to this timeless theme, we have the elitist structure, specifically Shia, whatever his freaking name is, and his sisters, clearly degenerates, as if wealthy oligarchs and elites have this timeless sense of degenerate hedonism, whichever way you pronounce it, man, it doesn't matter. It's a great way of pulling people's attention to the degeneracy as timeless again, and right in front of you, you know? The real world elitist nepotists are doing sicko stuff, just like the aging empire assholes of Rome did. That's why it's fell. There was just no one competent enough to rule things anymore, this is America, man. That place is incompetent. And again, politically, the film is very self-aware of how it sees itself. The depiction of working class problems, you know, the houses being foreclosed and people clearly getting more homeless, and this understandable bubbling fury for the wealthy and then co-opted into hatred for Caesar. It's like Francis Ford is saying, yeah, this stuff is totally acceptable. You should be infuriated with the wealthy that are fucking everything up, but it is in the background. It is not ever attached to in an insincere way, which I think people really need to understand how much of a creative decision that seems to me to be, or not to be. That is the real question. The cut of the film is also quite fascinating. It's jarring in its momentum, with this off-putting, in a good way, cadence that is unique. I think a lot of film editors or movie editors, anyone that's involved in editing, would study this down the line as a resource tool for different ways of editing and structuring what your shots look like. If they have 3 actual different pieces of footage lined up to each other, there's absolutely things you could learn from how the film translates its live action footage to animation. It's pretty good. I like the edit. It's a fever dream. If you were trying to make a fever dream, this is the edit you would copy and paste into your said fever dream, because it works in the way it wants to work. The edit is on purpose, all over the place in terms of style. Just another thing that I find has been done on purpose and is not something that someone may perceive as rushed. Just take a step back and take it all in. Maybe you'll change your mind. You just won't see this kind of avant-garde editing in a $100 million plus film project. A profit-based studio would just never have something so experimental involved with its completion. There are specific forms of editing that would have to go into studio editing, like you would have to have a giant team of people following a certain formula for your job to be appropriately complete, because something jarring and dreamlike is just risky and not your damn cheeseburger. Alright? Great metaphor, the cheeseburger. A unique edit of New York. A unique New York. Unique New York. Let's get into that inner monologue that Caesar has over the course of the film. Something you could initially gawk at and think is kind of really weird and stupid and make you say, what the fuck am I watching right now? This is ridiculous. You could do that. Or you could think about it for a second. I think this is an actual inner monologue either Coppola or Adam Driver has had, either likely on drugs or not on drugs, during some time in their lives where they've thought about consciousness or reality in their head for maybe too long and have found themselves thinking, maybe disassociatively, conversation with themselves and Caesar's character that I find is very Carl Jung-like, but it has themes of wrapping an individual's mind around consciousness, love, the sort of possible actual forces it has in the real world. That is just something you won't find in a vacuum. It takes, well, the self-financing from a mad, senile genius filmmaker to really be brave enough and throw something like that intangible feeling of the way the world works into a film. A brave way of saying love is the answer, man, you know? That kind of vibe. There is a big cult classic vibe to this film that I think will age pretty well. The film's blend of fever dream energy, if that makes sense, editing, cadence, hallucinatory imagery, for the most part, makes this film beautiful and very fun and funny, as well as a great depiction of late American empire and its degenerate effing elites. It is a fascinating inward look at American life, American modernity, an attempt at trying to find some kind of tangibility in the transcendent medical this is a fucking mouthful. Let me try again. An attempt at a tangible reflection of the fucking transcendental metaphysical possibilities of deep love having an effect on the real world, giving you some kind of superpowers. Maybe not as powerful as stopping time, but maybe the superpower of seeing the world a little bit more open to renewal or optimism, even in the face of dark times. So boring? Incomprehensible? Find some patience. Don't be lazy. At the very least, enjoy its abstract flow, humor, and debauchery. Francis Ford Coppola is one of the greatest filmmakers ever, and to deny something he's self-financed any kind of value to be found in this external of corporate control piece of art, I think is a disservice to yourself, because you must not want film to push boundaries anymore. We've reached the end of cinema. You just want to see Batman 6 Curse of the Pirate Wizard. Also, the Soviet satellite is a great little touch. It's like this encircling piece of history that the United States or New Rome has put out of mind and not really allowed itself to be reckoned with, and as it crashes into New Rome, basically forces a reflection on how things are and things are done for the people of New Rome. A great little touch, basically saying the Soviet Union still has reverberations on our future, even if it is long gone. A nice little plot device that I liked. I liked that part a lot. There's a lot to unpack from the fever dream that is Megalopolis. Show it a little respect. Just don't dismiss it because some arsehole on YouTube said it was stupid. Listen to a YouTube arsehole that says it's not stupid instead. Or better yet, make up your own fucking opinion before having anyone else's opinion being projected onto you. Apologies if you haven't seen it and have watched this. Now you have someone else's opinion projected onto you. And unfortunately, Megalopolis, you're gonna have to look for like that Men in Black time wipe thing. Unfortunately. I really enjoyed this film and I found it refreshing, and I thought I had to make something on it because it deserves it. It deserves to be explored, mainly for the reason that it's outside of corporate control, which is something that does not happen like ever anymore in big budget cinema. So what did you think of the movie? Was it platinum? Did it make you wow? Thanks for watching.